Now, Italy's threatened to suspend the open border Schengen agreement with Spain. That's after thousands of migrants broke across the Moroccan border into the Spanish territory of Ceuta. At least 15 people drowned trying to make it onto EU territory. Spain says it's sending soldiers and extra police to reinforce the border. Now, Ceuta on Morocco's northern coast is separated from mainland Spain by the Strait of Gibraltar and has long been a focal point for migrants attempting to reach Europe. Let's look at some live pictures now coming into us from the region. This is Spain first. This is Ceuta, where we can see lots of people on the streets, and there were many certainly previously watching when those people arrived. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Strait of Gibraltar, this is Funique in Morocco. You can already see a security presence there already. Monitoring this for us is our correspondent Sarah Rainsford, who's in Rome. Sarah, a pretty strong response there from the Italian government. Is there a real fear in Rome that this could see a surge of people heading in Italy's direction?
Well, certainly that's the political statement that's come from the Prime Minister and from the Interior Minister here. Strong statements, as you say, talking about potentially suspending the Schengen agreement, the open border agreement within the EU. But of course, difficult to see how that's possible to implement for Italy, and Italy and Spain don't have a shared border. So I think this is a political statement more than anything. It's coming from a government which is facing an election next year and looking to appeal to voters further to the right than this government's current voters. So I think that's what's going on here in Italy. As to what's happening in Spain itself, I mean, those were extraordinary scenes yesterday. Many thousands of people making a very difficult, actually, crossing, having to scramble down a concrete embankment on the Moroccan side of the border and swim out into the sea beyond the jetty, around the jetty, with the very high border fence on it that separates Moroccan territory from Ceuta, which is the Spanish exclave they were trying to reach. And then scenes of utter jubilation for those who made it across the border as they touched down on the beaches there, some of them kissing the ground, chanting Viva España, smiling and doing victory signs to the cameras, because for them that was a huge achievement. And big questions, I think, from the Spanish authorities about how this has happened, how active the Moroccan authorities were in trying to seal the border, and why so many people all at once tried to make that crossing. As you said, it is a point where people do try to cross, migrants do try to make a crossing into EU territory as a rule, but this is an extraordinary number of people, the biggest number of migrants making that crossing since a previous incident back in 2021, when relations between Morocco and Spain were very complicated.
And Sarah, Spain says it's sending additional resources to the region. Has there been criticism that it shouldn't have got to this in the first place?
Yeah, certainly from the authorities in Ceuta, saying that they wanted a state of emergency to be called. They had been pointing, they said, to an increase in arrivals from Morocco in recent days, but that was numbering in the hundreds, and now what we're seeing is thousands of people coming across. There's been some speculation about why that could have happened, whether traffickers have essentially got the message from Spain's Supreme Court, which ruled earlier this month that anyone who made that crossing by sea would not be immediately returned to Morocco. Migrants arriving don't appear to have heard about that, but certainly it's possible that those who are facilitating their route might have learned of that. So big questions about that. But yeah, there are around 60 soldiers heading from Spain to reinforce the border, also a number of members of the Interior Ministry too, and the Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is also heading there with his Interior Minister. The local authorities have been calling for tighter measures for some time. They seem to be getting that now. Whether or not that can bring the situation under control, together with perhaps a stronger response by the Moroccan authorities, I think that's the big question today. Will we see more scenes of many people trying to make that difficult crossing? And remember, at least 15 people lost their lives at sea trying to get to Spanish territory over the course of yesterday.
OK, Sarah Rainsford for us in Rome following this story. Sarah, thank you very much. Let's take a look at these pictures again. So this is the Spanish side in Ceuta. So this is just under 6 kilometres away from Funique, where we saw those other pictures earlier. There it is. So across the Strait of Gibraltar, as we said, several people died trying to make the crossing last night. At least 15 people trying to make it onto EU territory, and Italy now threatening that it might cut off its Schengen open border agreement to prevent people heading towards its territory. Italy famously has had lots of issues with migrants arriving on its shores previously, so it's something that it is particularly sensitive to. We'll keep you posted on this story.